Trace.
Chandler Painter live for us in New York. Chandler, thank you. Let's bring in former Army Special Forces Green Beret and Virginia congressional candidate Derrick Anderson. Derrick, it's great to have you on the show as always. I want to play the soundbite. This is President Biden in the sound that really kind of got the whole country talking. Watch.
Would you support Israel striking Iran's oil facilities, sir?
We're in discussion of that. I think that would be a little, anyway.
Yeah, he didn't say it outright, but it sounds like the oil fields are in play here, Derrick.
Yeah, Trace. I mean, the world is on fire right now under the weak leadership of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Our enemies are going to continue to feel emboldened to do things like you just talked about, Trace, where, Middle Eastern airlines are, jacking up the prices on Americans trying to get home safely, which, by the way, we want to make sure those individuals get home safely. But I don't know if we can really trust the Biden administration with things like that. We see that we have our own we see hostages still being held in Gaza. We see that we have our own needs here in the United States, in Southwest Virginia and North Carolina, where our own citizens here are trying to get evacuated from the hurricane, the disaster down there. Look, Kamala Harris and Joe Biden created this mess. They might as well have paid for the missiles that were launched into Israel when they eased the sanctions on Iran and allowed them to profit off their oil. Right. They allowed them they gave them billions of dollars back so they could fund their terrorist organizations overseas. And meanwhile, all that was being done when Iran was on the brink of bankruptcy. So, Tracy, as a former Green Beret, as someone who's fought overseas in Iraq and Afghanistan, I know these terrorist organizations. I know how they operate, and they smell weaknesses, and that's what they're exploiting right now.
Yeah, and well, what do you think about President Biden saying, listen, don't go after the nuclear sites in Iran, maybe the oil sites, but I know the nuclear sites are deep underground, so it's not an easy target, but should it be a logistical target, do you think?
Well, Trace, you notice that the Biden-Harris administration have equivocated on their support and what they think Israel should do. One minute they say that they have the right to defend themselves, and the next minute they state that they need to go to the negotiating table. What I think is going to happen here, Trace, is we saw a few months ago when we saw Iran launch. There's about 300 plus missiles over into Israel. Most did not. There's only a few that actually got in, but most of them were taken care of. And then we saw Israel attack a softer kind of target. What I see in the future of this conflict is it's going to continue. It's going to continue while we have Joe Biden and Kamala Harris in office because our enemies are emboldened. But what I would see happening is that Israel's going to not have a very large-scale attack. It's going to be somewhere of a middle engagement, where like a mid-range target that they attack to show Iran that they're not willing to do this anymore. They're not going to allow them to continue to fire missiles, hundreds upon missiles, into Israel.
Yeah, Derrick Anderson, great to have you on the show as always. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Trace.